Computer Security, Chapter 3. What do you know about keeping your computer secure? Hopefully by the end of this chapter, you'll be able to list and describe the different types of attacks on computers, explain how to manage patches, describe how to install and use antivirus software, explain user account control, describe how to recover from an attack. Protecting your personal computer is challenging. It's something that you have to stay on top of. Many different types of attacks exist today. Attackers are constantly modifying the attacks that are out there and creating new ones. There is no single defensive program out there. There are several different defenses must be in place. Some of the ways that you can protect your system is attacks using malware. This is software that enters a computer system without the owner's knowledge or consent. It performs unwanted and usually harmful actions, and some of the malware objectives are to rapidly spread its infection not only to your computer but those who possibly are in your contacts list for email. It conceals its purpose and it makes a profit by its creator. And malware can spread through viruses. Some of the viruses it can spread through, it appends itself to a file. It can change the beginning of the file. It adds jump instructions pointing to the virus. It may be a Swiss cheese infection where it interjects its portions of code throughout the program's executable code, kind of like Swiss cheese. So here's an example of where it's appended itself. And right here it tells it to jump to the virus. Here as the program runs, it's picking up the code for the virus. It causes computers to crash repeatedly. If you've ever had a computer that it'll come up and then it'll crash to the blue screen. Comes up, crashes to the blue screen. You probably have a virus. It's displaying an annoying message. You may have files that are being erased. It's making copies of itself to consume all the space on your hard drive. It may turn off security settings, and it can reformat your hard drive. Viruses can only replicate on the host computer. They cannot spread between computers without users' actions. Let's say you open the email, that was your action. Some types of programs are the program virus. It infects the program's executable files. You have a macro virus. It might be stored within a user document, let's say a spreadsheet, and the macro is hidden within it, and once you kick off that spreadsheet, off you go. You have worms. They're the malicious program that's designed to take advantage of the vulnerability in an application or operating system. It has searches for another computer with the same vulnerability. It looks to see if there's anything similar to it. And it sends copies of itself over the network. Some of your worm actions are it consumes your network resources. Is your network slowing down? It allows a computer to be controlled remotely, and files can be deleted. On table 3.1 in your book, it shows the differences between your viruses and your worms. Does there need to be a user action? For virus, yes. For a worm, no. Can it be remotely controlled? For a virus, no. For a worm, yes. Malware can be concealed. The different types of concealed malwares are called Trojans, rootkits, backdoors, and then there's the arbitrary code execution. And a Trojan is basically an executable program that's hidden within the code. It's advertised as performing one activity, but actually does something else. Kind of like the Trojan horse. It acts like it's one thing, but it's really something different. It may be installed on your system with your approval, but you may not realize that it's the Trojan. And they typically do not replicate to the same computer or another computer. A rootkit is a set of software tools used by an attacker, and it conceals its presence of other malicious software. Some of the actions is it deletes logs. It may make changes to the operating system to ignore malicious activity. You have your backdoor malware, and that's software code that gives access to program or services. It circumvents the normal security protections. It comes in the back door and uses your resources. Often created by software developers during deployment, the intent is to remove the backdoor, but sometimes it's left open. Malware from attackers can install a backdoor on a computer. You have a keylogger, and that's hardware or software that captures keystrokes, and you can find these on the internet as software patches. Information can be retrieved by an attacker. The hardware keyloggers are actually hardware, physical thing that goes on your computer, like your keyboard and the USB port, and it's going to key every single keystroke that you make. And then the software keylogger does the same thing, but it's software and it's hidden. You wouldn't see it like you would the actual hardware. You may have arbitrary code execution, and that's basically where an attacker uses buffer overflow attack to gain control of your computer. Your buffer is the storage area on your computer that contains return addresses for your computer processor. That's where does it go next. Your computer buffer overflow attack, the attacker substitutes its own return address in the buffer, and that leads to malware code. Malware can be for profit. The attacker takes control of your computer for an extended time period. You have a zombie. Basically, it infects the robot computer. You have a botnet. There's hundreds and thousands and tens of thousands of zombies put together to cause a botnet. Your botnet herder, or a bot herder, is an attacker, and it controls zombies using HTTP commands to your web browser. Botnets can remain active for years. You may think it's all gone, and then it pops up its ugly little head again. Some of the uses of botnets are spamming, spreading malware, manipulating online polls, and denial of service. Botnets often are used to send spam email. You may have spyware, and that's software that spies on the users without the user's consent. You have spyware actions, and they control use of the system resources. They collect personal information, and it impacts your experience, your privacy, or your system security. Some of the spyware's negative effect on an infected computer, it may slow your performance down. You may notice that your system is no longer stable. You may notice new toolbars or menus popping up on your computer. It may add shortcuts. It might hijack the home page of your web browser. And you may have an increase in pop-ups. It's just hoping that you're going to click on one of them and go to town. Adware is a software program that delivers advertising content. You don't want it, but it's there. It's in an unexpected and unwanted manner. It can be pop-ups, and they pop up constantly, and banners. You open a web browsers at random intervals. It may display objectionable content, and it may interfere with your productivity when you're on trying to get work done. And it may track and monitor your actions on the computer. Scareware is just that. It's there to scare you. It's software that displays a fictitious warning. It tries to impel you to take action. It uses legitimate trademarks or icons. It pretends to perform a security scan and fix serious problems. It doesn't. It's probably loading more problems. It offers purchase a full version of software to fix your problem. And it's trying to gather your credit card information. Defenses a user should implement to try to protect yourself from all of this is you need to manage your patches. You need to install antivirus software. You need to configure your personal firewalls. You need to use user account controls. You need to protect against theft. You need to create data backups. And you need to know the steps for recovering from an attack. The patches. You need to make sure that you are installing the current patches from your vendor. Software security updates intend to cover vulnerabilities discovered after the program was released. If you'll remember back from Chapter 1, we talked about there may be bugs out there and fixes that need to occur. These are the patches. So you need to make sure that you're updating your patches on a regular schedule. You have a service pack, and that software package of cumulative security updates and features. Modern operating systems can perform automatic updates. If you're running a Windows computer, it is best to have it do the automatic patches. That way you're not missing out on any of the security patches that may be out there. Some of the configuration options for your updates. You can tell it to install updates automatically. You can download the updates and then you can choose which ones to install. You can check for updates and you get to choose which ones you want to download and install, or you can never check for updates. I do not recommend never checking for updates. The one that I typically do is install updates automatically. It saves time, it saves headaches. The automatic operating system updates may include updates from other software vendors as well. Your antivirus software scans a computer's hard drive for infections. It monitors computer activity. It examines new documents that might contain a virus. It works by matching to known virus signatures, and you should have your signatures updated frequently. With your antivirus software, you need to check to see if they have updates. If they do, download their updates so that it's checking the most current known problems. Some of the recommended configuration is constantly monitor for viruses and automatically check for the updated signature file. You have software-based personal firewall. These are designed to prevent malware from entering your computer. It's like having a big wall around your castle. It examines incoming data from the internet or local network, and it blocks or filters certain content. You're looking for certain things to keep out. Some of your configuration is the user can grant or deny permission for specific programs to communicate across the network. Some recommended firewall settings is turn on your firewall for all network locations and connections, and then you want to block all inbound connections. Create exceptions for the known connections that you know are going to come into your system. User account control. Your user account indicates privilege level of the user. So you can create your accounts and decide who gets access to what files and folders, where can they go on the computer, and what changes can they make. You can have a guest, you can have a standard, and you can have an administrator. I would not give everyone administrator rights. That's the one who has the ability to change anything and everything on your computer. Your user account control, it's going to alert the user to operating system events. It'll ask explicit permission to perform a task. It helps prevent Trojans from making unauthorized changes, and the user with administrator account can authorize changes. If you don't have administrator privileges, you may attempt something and it will tell you that you do not have permission to do that task. Some of the recommended configurations is that you need to set the user account control level to always notify, and you can give most users standard accounts. You need to create a data backup, and this is an external portable device used to back up. You can do it to a USB, you can do it to disk storage, you can use a network attached storage device, you can back up online to the cloud, but you need to get in the habit of backing up your data. If you've backed up your data and you do so periodically, then when an attack does occur, you've got data that you can go back to. Being prepared is key to recovering from that attack. With the Windows system, you need to make sure that you create a system repair disk. And the various software vendors provide free rescue disks in case you have problems. So in summary, with securing your computer, you need to know what malicious software is, malware, how it spreads and replicates itself, what you need to do to prevent such things affecting your computer, and if it does affect your computer, what do you need to do in order to get back to where you were. Make sure that you've read all of Chapter 3 and done all of your assignments for this unit.